Hey beautiful women, namaste. Well, and men who might watch this because I'm going to post it elsewhere. So this is a live about uniting masculine and feminine. Started to make this earlier today in the park and my phone just died on me, so I'm going to start from scratch and see what comes through. But I'm really feeling guided and inspired to speak on this theme today. So today is the 23rd of February 2022. Yesterday was the 22nd of the 2nd of the 22nd. So we had lots of twos lined up, and not that I'm particularly into numerology actually, but you know, that's very symbolic of multiple twos conjoining. And for me, one of the meanings that I take from that is union, like when two become one, unification, two together, divine union, sacred union. That's one interpretation that I take from those two. So we're still in the energy of that 22 to 22, all the twos lining up. And in conjunction with that, again, I'm not a great astrology expert by any means at all, but I know that Mars, which represents the masculine, and Venus, which represents the feminine, hi, namaste, are together in the sky at the moment and are quite unusually traveling together for a few weeks, right? Very close together. This is highly unusual. And so Mars, the masculine, Venus, the feminine, are close and traveling together. So, you know, we have the 222, we have the Mars and Venus, and then we have our own lived experience. So this is happening cosmically. And of course, everything in our lives is always connected. And there is no separation, right? So personally, and just, you know, see what's going on in your life right now around the masculine and feminine within you. See what's going on in your life between men and women in your life, right? Just notice what's happening with all of these energies. Personally, for me, I have been experiencing some really big shifts with this inner relationship of the masculine and the feminine as a result of a meditation group that I'm a part of, not as a teacher, as a participant with 9 other women. We've been journeying together for quite some time, going into really, really deep states of meditation and inner journeying. And as part of that, touching upon the finest and subtlest layers of what we find within in terms of what presents itself as masculine, what presents itself as feminine, also the exploration of yin and yang, which can show up as something quite different actually to masculine and feminine, and then the inner unification of those energies, those layers, those aspects as they present themselves in our bodies in meditation to achieve the state of inner union. And this is an ongoing process that can always deepen and can always expand. There is never a limit. There's never a capping point. There's never somewhere you've reached to and then it's over, right? This is ongoing. I mean, I've been doing the work of inner union for years. Like, Tantra is the path of sacred union. It is the path of the inner unification of all polarities, but of course the primary polarity is the polarity of masculine and feminine. And that's, you know, Tantra is about the unification of polarities, and it's not about this unification as a theory. It's about this unification within our bodies, our minds, our spirits, our souls, on every level, from the most gross to the most refined. So this inquiry, this exploration, this embodiment is a continuous evolutionary process. But for me, that's what Tantra is all about. The inner unification of masculine and feminine and of all polarities, so that as I unify and return to the source point, so when we unify and return to source, to the still point from which all of life arises within our inner experience, there is no separation, there is no distinction. Everything is just one. Everything is just experienced as bliss and ecstasy and joy. Well, bliss and ecstasy, right? That's that's what we find when we meditate into the source of all of life and existence. And there is no distinction, there is no separation, there is no identity, there is no suffering, there is no pain. As soon as we move from that source point, life naturally kind of goes into polarity, and masculine and feminine are the two primary polarities. So then we begin to experience ourselves as gendered in bodies. Nature is, the expression of masculine and feminine in all the different ways that we see in plants, in flowers, in trees, in creatures, right? It's everything has that fundamental polarity and division. So it's both what happens in life, and then that sense of separation is what creates both a seeking, a searching, a desire for the other, and a sense of separation within the self, a sense of loneliness, of emptiness, of lack, as much as a sense of desire. And this is where a lot of relationships go skew-whiffy, because the one is looking for the other outside themselves. Women look for the masculine qualities that they desire in the man outside them, and men look for the qualities they desire outside them without cultivating an inner relationship. So then every human relationship is based upon lack, and rather than being sourced in wholeness from within, right? But let me come back to, kind of gone off on a tangent, my experience and how the outer is always reflected, the inner is always reflected in the outer, always. This is something I used to resist when people told it to me. I would very much resist that. For example, when I was having a very difficult time in a relationship with a man, and then people would say to me, well, what is that reflecting to you about yourself? I did not want to hear that. And I resisted it, and I was like, no. That might be true in most cases, but it's not true in this case. Can't be. The outer always reflects the inner, always. So I've been having some really profound experiences of inner union in this meditation group and in my practice. Of course, I've been doing tantric practice and yogic practice. Yoga is also a practice of union for 18 years, right? So of course I have that foundation, but in this meditation group, it's just been going deeper and deeper and deeper to the constant experience of inner union and ecstasy, which pervades my everyday. And feels like, well, not always, but sometimes it feels like living with a stream of activated Kundalini throughout the day. It's incredible. It's so, as I say that, actually it begins to happen. It's so blissful and ecstatic, energy like flowing up my spine. My whole body is filled with luminous vibrating energy. It's delicious, That's the state of unification at the highest and subtlest level. But of course, when I say that, I know there's always more. As I've been experiencing this and having these shifts and some more profound shifts just in the last few weeks, guess what happened? A really experienced, wise, well-established male Tantra teacher who's been teaching and practicing for over 20 years, very well known, approached me and asked to have a meeting about co-creating some events, right? He wasn't even in my stream of awareness or consciousness, but I was embodying the vibration of inner unification, right? At a high level, high and deep level. I decided to go back onto, even though I've kind of said I'm never doing it again, back onto an online dating site called Spiritual Singles. Just popped profile up, and like within about 30 minutes, I had messages from 3 or 4 men, all of whom are beautiful, high vibe, conscious men with whom I have you know, I have things in common. So my previous experience of online dating has always been horrendous. I get approached by like 70-year-old men, men who obviously haven't read my profile, men I have nothing in common with. And, you know, this really showed me that there's been a shift within me. Don't get your hopes up too much. I don't think anything's going to come of any of these guys in terms of, potential relationship. But it was simply a beautiful reflection of, oh, wow, all these men have written to me are sincere, are authentic, are kind-hearted, are tantric, are meditators, have been on the spiritual path for a long time. You know, it was just a very beautiful reflection of a higher caliber man than has typically written to me on online dating sites. So yeah, the outer always reflects the inner. And like I say, that goes from the most refined, subtle levels right down to the very gross. And here's something else I wanted to say. Like, when I talk about teaching Tantra to women, you know, my 9-month course for the last 3 years was called Awakening Shakti. Shakti being the divine feminine power, the divine feminine energy, awakening your Shakti. And there can be this misconception then that the work that I do, that the work you do with me, that what we experience is purely about embodying your divine feminine and leaving out the masculine. And nothing could be further from the truth, because Tantra is all about inner union, and it's actually impossible to fully embody your awakened Shakti without your divine masculine being there with you too. So one cannot exist without the other. So yes, we do the inner work of meeting all of those barriers to the embodiment of our divine feminine Shakti energy, our awakened Kundalini Shakti energy, which in the case of, you know, because I've been working primarily with women for 10 years or more, you know, brings up all the stuff about body shame, self-loathing, sexual shame, the sex spirit split, the virgin whore split, you know, trauma, sexual abuse. It brings up all of those things. And all of that, yes, has to be met and processed and integrated as part of this journey. However, alongside that, and part of every tantric practice actually, is the inclusion of our masculine. The masculine in the higher sense is pure consciousness, is absolute emptiness, stillness, nothingness, spaciousness. And we reach into that aspect of our consciousness and of our being in various different ways, through stillness meditation, which is what I've been engaging in now very deeply for some years, through inner dialogue with our, and this is kind of on a more gross level, through inner dialogue with our inner masculine. And just to give you an example again of how that creates change, I'm working with a beautiful client right now, and last week we did a dialogue. I facilitated for her a dialogue between her and her inner masculine, which was manifesting as men in her life, right? But in actual fact, the men who are manifesting in your life are always a reflection of an inner masculine aspect of you. And in that facilitated dialogue, she experienced healing, she experienced insight, she experienced an energetic shift within her energy body and system that was almost immediately reflected back to her in terms of the men who then showed up in her life, like literally within 24 hours. So when we make these energetic shifts inside, the outside changes. Absolutely. And this is not pie in the sky, it's not airy fairy, it's not woo-woo. Like, another practical example is I've been feeling very drained and exhausted in taking care of my dad, who is very unwell, and went into a care home at the end of last year. And I found it exhausting, really draining mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I've been working on that within my meditation practice. And as I came into the state of inner unification, and my whole being was flooded with like, it was like sitting on a fountain of energy, and just this beautiful ecstatic energy filling my system. When I next went to visit my father in the care home, I spent several hours with him. It's an hour's drive there, it's an hour's drive back. And I came back and I was like, oh, wow, I don't feel drained at all. In fact, I still feel this radiant, shimmering, beautiful, alive energy bubbling up within me. Nothing has changed. Like, wow, that was an incredible shift for me. So it's very real, I really want to emphasize this. The inner is always reflected in the outer. Tantra is about inner union, the unification of above and below, masculine and feminine, the most subtle to the most gross. All the polarities that create separation in our minds, in our bodies, in our psyches, within us, and then between us. Through tantric practice, we experience their integration and unification. That's what this is about. From my perspective, one of the reasons I'm so passionate about this work that I do is because what I believe is that there is only one way for us to change the world and create peace, harmony, love, abundance for everyone. And that is for us to experience inner union. That is for us to elevate our consciousness, to fully embody source consciousness, oneness, bliss, ecstasy. And that can only happen through inner work, through inner meditation, through practices of unification. There is no other way to that. So for me, what I do is actually the way that I believe I'm here to support the elevation, the ascension, the bringing more love, harmony, joy, and peace into the world. If every single human being was able to embody source consciousness, united and unified, masculine and feminine together, there could not be war. There could not be so much separation and division. It just would be impossible, because when we are embodying those two, that oneness state, the highest of the masculine, the highest of the feminine, in harmony as one, we see from the eyes of love. We recognize the other as us. We move through the world with compassion, intelligence, intuition, insight, right knowing, right action. Right? So that's why I'm here doing what I do, doing these lives, offering the courses, and all the rest of it. And actually, that's what my book, Rapture, is about. Rapture is what I experience, what you can experience, what we can all experience when we return to that state of union with Source, with God, right? Because, all of the pain, the angst, the suffering comes from our separation from God. Tantra takes us back to Source, to God, and the recognition that the God and the Goddess are here, nowhere else, that we are God, Goddess, right here, nowhere else. And when we really know that and embody that, then we see that the reality is every single other person and thing is also that. Doesn't mean that we don't still have opinions, doesn't mean that we don't still have beliefs, doesn't mean that we don't still have feelings, doesn't mean that we don't still have thoughts, right? But it just changes the perspective. So that's what rapture is. It's your true state. Your true state is in a unification with the divine, and all polarities collapsed into one in that return to source. That's what rapture is. And we start by coming back into the body, by meeting our emotions, by meeting our thoughts, by meeting our energy with stillness, with calm, with quiet, with emptiness, with spaciousness, and returning deeper and deeper and deeper to source in the allowing of all that is and meeting it within ourselves. Of course, there are other routes to go. You know, there are many routes to God. There are many routes to rapture. The other way is kind of equal and opposite, which is to go so fully into our sensory experience, to immerse ourselves so completely in whatever we are experiencing, whether it's labeled good or bad, that there is no separation. So imagine, you know, you have a sensation in your fingers. You're aware you have a sensation in your fingers. You're witnessing, you know, I have a sensation in my fingers. I can feel this. I can feel the skin rubbing the skin, right? That's sensation right there. But there's a part of me that's witnessing that, and there's a part of me that's feeling that, and then there are my fingers moving. In the tantric way of practice, we go so fully into that sensation right here that there is no separation anymore. So the witnesser, the perceiver, the one who's sensing, the fingers, the touch, they all merge into one. When that's happening, there's absolutely no way you can be lost in thought, you can be distracted, you can think you're not good enough. You know, it's absolutely impossible. Bring everything into one and everything else collapses, and you've come out the other side through your sensory experience into oneness. That's what tantric lovemaking is, basically. But it doesn't have to happen between you and another body. It can be happening right now within you, like it's happening right now within me. It can happen here. It can happen here. You know, it can happen in the breath. Breath in, breath out. Oh my God. So orgasmic to breathe. Did you know that? So I just wanted to share a little bit today. Since we're in this portal of masculine and feminine, dancing, uniting, let's make the most of it. Let's enjoy, let's explore, let's journal, let's do practices of unification. Let's inquire. Let's consciously meet our other half, inside and out. And yes, of course, there are ways that I offer and support for you to do that with me. And I'm just going to mention a few of them. I have my book, Rapture, A Guide to Sexual and Spiritual Awakening for Women, which is all about attaining and experiencing that state of rapturous inner union. I have several courses, online courses, from fairly light to very deep online courses called Rapture, and a taste of rapture that you can take and self-study. And I have the monthly Rapture study group where you're welcome to come, whether you've read the book or not, and I guide you in practice, I guide you in meditation. You ask any questions you have about the practice, you share your experience, you bring what's going on for you in your life, and you begin to recognize and experience how through tantric awareness and practice, there is an answer for every question that returns you to your true state of being. So the Rapture study group is every month on a Wednesday evening, 7 till 9 p.m. UK time. And the next one is tonight, actually. And then there's a mixed group, the Tantric Temple, where again I guide men and women together in practice, in meditation, in sharing, in exploring, like what the fuck is coming up for you? What's happening in your relationships? You don't have to be in a relationship to come to that, absolutely not. But it's about meeting as men and women and working through the stuff that comes up for us, because of course it does. And returning to that beautiful state of calm, of integration, of unification, of love that Tantra brings us. So the Tantric Temple is also once a month on a Wednesday, and the next one of those is March the 9th. There's going to be some live events coming up, and I'm really excited because, of course, the Tantra teacher that I mentioned at the start, that we're going to be co-creating something together. I'm going to be offering a live Tantric Temple in London very soon. Can't wait. And, of course, if you want a really deep dive, I hold space for one-on-one mentoring. And yeah, the space I hold is profound, deep diving. I see you, I feel you, I connect to the cosmic realms, and I channel what is needed for you. We do embodied practice, we do meditations. I trust the divine guidance I'm given, and it's always impeccable. So if any of those things highlight for you and you want to know more, take a look at my website, shaktisundari.com, or just pop a comment or drop me a line and I'll get back to you. But just wanting to really share with you the bliss, the joy, the yumminess of what is possible when we unify in this way. And I'm just wanting to share this with as many people as possible. Oh, there is one thing it just popped to mind that I forgot to mention. Yeah, I also have an online self-study course called Meeting the Masculine. It's really powerful, and it takes you through a journey of a deeper inner union with your masculine. Yep. So yeah, all on my website. And just gonna, before I close, just take a moment with me. Take a moment now to close your eyes. Feel into your body. Notice everything that is alive for you, having listened to my words, having received my transmission. See what is alive for you around this theme of masculine and feminine, their unification within and without. Can you allow whatever you're feeling, sensing or thinking to be there without changing it, judging it, fixing it? Let it be there. Can you allow yourself to also experience alongside whatever is active, alive, moving and felt, to access a point of stillness, a point of emptiness, a point of presence that is there alongside everything that's moving, alive and sensed? Can you bring your hands together at your heart and feel into the communion within your own body and being of masculine and feminine, yin and yang, above and below, heaven and earth, sex and spirit, man and woman, body and mind, energy and consciousness. Bow to that union. Send out a prayer for what you wish in the realms of this union, inside and out. Harnessing the energies of Venus and Mars, of love and power, of sensuality and consciousness. Harnessing the energies of 2, 2, 2, 2, all the union. Feel that in every cell of your body, union, oneness, harmony, bliss, love, togetherness. Breathe that in and breathe that out. Breathe that in and breathe it out. One more time. Breathe that in and breathe it out. And take that into your day. Take that into your night. Take that into your relating. Take that into every activity. Lots of love. Many blessings. Namaste.